Hello English learners, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michael and this is English with Michael. So this is where I kind of share some English tips, some grammar tips, all that kind of stuff. And today I'm in the park. I thought I'd come outside today. And if you're wondering why, why not? I used to make a lot of my videos inside, but to be honest, I think outside is much more interesting, much more fun. So that's why I'm here. No other reason really. But yeah, today I wanted to share a really important tip on being polite in English. And this is not just for kind of super formal occasions, this is for any occasion. So when you want to ask someone else for something, almost always use this grammar, which we'll look at today. So today I want to share some introductory phrases that you can use to be more indirect when you're asking for something. So as you might know, in English it's quite rude if you just directly say, hey, give me this, or open the window. It's much nicer if you can be as indirect as possible. And as a general rule of thumb, the longer you make your question, the more polite it is. And it's quite difficult for many learners. But that's a good thing to remember. The longer the question, the more polite, if you do it in the right way. In this video, hopefully I'm going to give you like an introduction as to how you can do that. So I'm going to put on the screen right here some of the phrases that we can look at today. And these are phrases that you can use at the beginning of your request or your question. So we've got, do you know? I was wondering. I wonder. Let me know. I'd like to know. Do you have any idea? And could you tell me? There are many more, but I think these are really common ones and these are quite useful ones to know. So if you learn any, I think these are a good list. So remember these here. If you want to see them written down so you could save it for later, check out the full blog post, which I'll put in the description of this video. So the key here is we use these introductory phrases and then we have the question, except generally the question is not in the normal question order. We use the normal sentence order. So rather than saying, are you cold? We would say, you are cold. And then we'd have the introductory phrase before. And I'm going to break it down into a couple groups to give you some examples now and show you what I mean. So the first group are questions that have the verb to be inside. And this can be like is, am, are, were, was, past tense as well. Any of these verbs, this is the rule. In an indirect question, when we want to be polite, the verb, which is going to be to be, or maybe is, will come after the subject. So in a more direct way, you might say, where is the station? Where is the station? It's quite direct, and if you're asking a stranger, it's probably a bit rude. They might not be so happy to help you, depending on who they are. If you want to be more polite, let's say we're going to say, could you tell me? Say, could you tell me where the station is? So in this case, we're not saying where is the station. Station and is swap around and we say where the station is. And you'll notice this order is just like a normal sentence. Station is here. Tell me where the station is. It's the same order as a normal statement. We would still end this question with a question mark because we have could you tell me? So that is a question. They could answer no if they really want to. So could you tell me where the station is? Question mark. Another example, when are you going to France? When are you going to France? How do you think we would say this in an indirect way? Let's say do you know at the beginning. Rather than are you, we would say do you know when you are going to France? There's a wasp right next to my camera now, maybe you can hear it. So, do you know when you are going to France? Or if someone says, I am cold, you can say, why are you cold? Why are you cold? Look, it's so hot and sunny today. Why are you cold? If you want to have a more polite introductory phrase, we would say, do you have any idea why you are cold? Not are you, but you are. So I'll put that here on the side again, just to show you how these verbs change places. So now use the table we had before, or check out the blog post to review, and see how many of your own questions you can use with the verb to be. The next category are questions that use do or does or doesn't or did any of these words, basically do. Generally, in an indirect question, we do not use these. We can use it as a normal verb, like what do you do, but not the first one, not what do. So let's use that example. Well, to make it simpler, let's say, what do you play? What do you play? If we want to have an introductory phrase, we could say, I was wondering what you play. So very simple, we just get rid of the do, introductory phrase plus question, but no do. I was wondering what you play. In this example, by the way, we don't have a question mark because it's not really a question. We're saying, I was wondering. You know, it's very indirect. We're kind of implying that we want them to answer, but it's not actually a question. Another example, who did you meet? Past tense. Who did you meet? In this example, we could say, could you tell me who you met? One thing you'll notice here is meet changes to met, because before we had did, which kind of indicated it was past tense, but now we've got rid of did, we need to use the main verb to indicate the past tense. So who did you meet becomes, could you tell me who you met? One last one for this category, why did you say no? Why did you say no? See if you can work this one out yourself. Remember, it has did, which is past tense, and before we can say let me know. Why did you say no? Let me know why you said no. Let me know why you said no. Okay, the third one now is quite a simple one. This is questions with can. You know, can is very polite, generally like, can you help me? Could you help me is a bit more polite, but can you help me is a good question. Even more polite is make it indirect. When we want to use an indirect version of can, we can say, would it be possible? Would it be possible? I use this one all the time when I'm writing an email or asking for something that I'm not sure if they're going to say yes. I want to be really polite. Would it be possible? So if someone is wanting some help to cross the street, they might say, can you help me cross the street? Or if they want to be more polite, they could say, would it be possible for you to help me cross the street? Would it be possible for you to help me cross the street? Can you read this book for me? Would it be possible for you to read this book? Yeah, so again, think of your own examples, but that one's fairly simple. Just can changes to would it be possible. The final category is yes or no questions. So before we were asking why, when, where, how. Now if you want to just ask a simple question like, are you cold? If I say, are you cold? There's only two answers really. It's yes or no. These ones are a little bit difficult, unfortunately, but we have to use the words whether or if. So if I ask you, do you like to play video games? That's a direct question. It's not bad. If you want to be more polite, we could say, I was wondering whether you like to play video games. Or I was wondering if you liked to play video games. So do you like? I was wondering if you like. Becomes a bit longer, but as I said before, the longer, the more polite generally. So longer is not a problem. Longer is good. Another thing you might notice here is I said past tense, right? So you could say, let me know if you like playing, or let me know if you liked playing. This is another good thing to remember. Generally, past tense can be more polite as well, because it has more separation between what you're asking and the present moment. So it's further away in distance, you know, in time, in a way, and that makes it more polite. So that's exactly the same reason why it's more polite to say, could you help me, rather than can you help me? Because could is the past tense of can. So it's a really good one if you want to ask someone on a date. You want to be very indirect. You don't want to seem too pushy. You might scare off the other person. So you could say, I would like to know if you would come on a date with me. Or I would like to know whether you wanted to come to the cinema with me. So wanted, past tense, makes it more polite, even more polite. I'm going to give you some questions now just to practice for homework, so leave them in the comments below. That's your task. And no cheating, no reading other people's comments yet. So using one of the phrases from the beginning, check in the description or the blog post if you like, how would you make this question indirect? What do you do for work? What do you do for work? How can that be more polite? Give me your ideas in the comments below. One more is, do you like eating sushi? Do you like eating sushi? Leave your answer in the comments. How can that be more indirect and polite? But I hope this video was useful. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you want to support me and you kind of like these lessons, you want to help me upgrade my equipment a little bit, then head over to my Patreon page, which is just /English with Michael. I'll put that in the description below. I really appreciate everyone who does sign up over there, and you'll get some bonus videos too from time to time. So thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you for joining the Patreon, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.